out there, my friends in YouTube land. Yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal. North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. And yeah, I just can't do metal. How's that? Thank you so much for tuning in, my friends. I'm going to do a little test run here. Yep. So, as the title implies, it has been 7 years, my friends, since we have relocated down here to beautiful Southwest Florida from Chi-Town, Chicago, Illinois. Well, actually, the last place that we lived at was Aurora, Naperville, Illinois, which is a far suburb of Chicago. But, I mean, I lived in Chicago a huge portion of my life. I was born and raised in Cook County, so that was home, and this is our new home. And we want to, first of all, thank everyone for tuning in. And for those who can't tune in right now, we leave this up so you could watch it at your convenience. Because I think it's very important that you guys understand certain things. I'm going to turn this light on. There we go. It's kind of important that everyone understands that when you're going to relocate somewhere. So let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and do this. I got a few things I got to do before I do this. I'm going to move this over a bit. Make sure that's down. I guess I can unplug this. Oh, no, I'll leave it plugged in. Let me grab my drink here. The decaf works, man. But before I get myself all comfy and cozy here, I'm going to go ahead and lower this down. So I'll be sitting in the chair here. And I'll probably have to readjust things. You know how it is. With me, everything's a readjustment, right? Anyway, there we go. There we go, guys. So, you know, when you relocate from one place to another, before you do this, you know, because I put this up in the description, this is exactly what we did. We did our research. It was spring of 2017, so it was the last week of March. We came down here and we did house hunting, and we were able to actually, I think it was that, I think it was that time we actually secured a house. We had 3 houses we lived over. Actually, the first one was a no-go, and thank God for that. But the second one was, third one was perfect. And what we did is we had an outside city inspector, because we live in a retirement community, and they'll have their own inspectors, and nothing wrong with that. But when you get an outside city inspector, they're not employed by the HOA, so you could get a more of in detail. Well, that's the impression that we got. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, because this is not trashing and bashing session, but this is keeping it real. I'm sorry, guys, this little hook. This is keeping things real, so that you guys are gonna know what to do when, you know, if you ever decide to do anything like this. So yeah, we came down here, and then once we got the house we wanted, we came back down again to buy the house and make some final adjustments. And then July of 2017, July 20th, it was almost like 2 or 3 minutes to midnight, because we pulled up in our U-Haul here, unload the car with the guitars, parked the U-Haul in front of the house, and just crashed, man, because I mean, it took us 3 days to come down here. And people say, well, geez, I could have made that in several, it's like 1,300 miles, something like that. When, of course, we drove through all the different states, including Atlanta, Georgia. Be careful when you drive through Atlanta. And if you have CDL license, don't speed. Don't put yourself in a situation because you get a speeding ticket out of state, and of course you got to take care of it out of state. If you want to take care of it with a CDL license, if you want to take care of things properly, okay, secure that license, protect that license. I mean, secure your job, protect that license. So what we did was, after we got down here, let me back up. When we were still up in Illinois, I was doing a lot of research, getting on YouTube, checking out places, see what videos are out there, um, because I kind of forgot that not many people do live streaming of their gigs. I must be the only one. I'm not saying the only one that live stream because we got Randy Tritt that does live stream. He's always live, man. He's great. We got Jeff Lipinski doing a live stream. Of course, Joe Wentz, the Joe Wentz Project. But what I mean by this, I'm like one of the only ones, if not the only one that I've seen, especially in this area, that live streams his gigs. I think part of it is because there's no vocals, and I do a lot of my originals. If you do nothing but covers and vocals, you got to be careful, my friends. Um, Tim Conley, drummer, he had a video about that. He basically put up what bands you could put up on the internet, on YouTube, and what bands you can't, to avoid the copyright strike, the copyright claim, and then but when you get into strikes like baseball, 3 strikes, and boom, they take your channel down. That's it. So you got to be careful about that. And I know some people think, oh man, it's not fair. Well, there's free music now. I mean, everyone, you assume that people would buy it off the internet, you're downloading that and pay for it, but people don't do that. I mean, we're all guilty of it, and myself included, and I'm ashamed of that, and I feel bad. But anyways, I try to avoid that as much as possible. I really do because I understand. I remember when we were buying CDs and records and cassette tapes and 8 tracks and all that. But my point is that I was doing a lot of research, and I wasn't finding much of. I was finding certain things in the area, and that was very helpful. It was helpful enough that when we got down here, we were able to know where to go. Now, the one place that didn't pop up was the very first gig I did down here when we got down here. We got down here, and I think about a week later, maybe a week and a half later, boom, we're already playing. And when we got down here, I'm trying to remember this correctly. I think this was during the spring break when we got down here. We were staying at a hotel, and across the street from us was a place called Orioles, and we heard music. I heard live music, and I didn't know it was actually a function, like a fundraising function that they had in their parking lot. But went across the street, they had a metal band playing. It was cool. I think the band that was playing was called Bite the Bullet, that later on I became sort of friends with through my vocalist Mike, the guy I was playing with. And I mean, I didn't really hang out or anything with those guys or anything, but I mean, I respected them. Yeah, it was so cool to see, So they have a positive impact on me down here, and I'll always be very thankful for that. You guys totally rock, man. And I don't think they're not playing together anymore. Maybe they're playing in different bands, but it'd be nice to see them to come back together. It really would be. They were a great band. They were a cover band, but they were more on the hard edge. Definitely on the rock and metal side. Definitely. What is happening? What's happening, brother? Good to see you, man. Thank you for tuning in. So we see that, and I'm like, okay. I try to remember the name of the band. Didn't remember the name of the band. Try to remember the name of the club and that. And anyways, we're only down here a week, and then we're back up to Illinois. So to cut through the chase, when we finally moved down here, doing all the research, we joined the Cape Coral Chamber of Commerce because, we do have a music company. So we try to secure that with businesses, which if you incorporate yourself or do anything with an LLC, turn your music into a business, whether it's part-time, full-time, doesn't matter. If you are doing an LLC or any type of business, sole proprietor or incorporated, because we were incorporated up in Illinois, and down here we did the LLC. it's a good idea to hook up with a Chamber of Commerce to make those contacts with other businesses. I mean, here is the difference between being a chamber member and then just walking off the streets. You walking off the streets, yeah, you could definitely make contact there, definitely, and because there's a lot of companies and businesses that are not involved in the Chamber of Commerce. Okay, but the difference is that the ones who are involved in the Chamber of Commerce, now it's like, oh, you're kind of part of us, and you'll always be part of them. But when you're, some people like to talk. Sir, Sir Prophet 9, what's happening, brother? Good to see you, man. Got Old Faithful hanging up on the wall there. This guitar definitely rocks. Very much appreciative, man. I want you to think that it's going to the ways. It's not only a prop, but I'll do recordings with it too, so it works like a charm, especially with the single coil pickups and neck pawl, man, perfect. So we did that, and we started making contact with other businesses. But the first gig we did was at Orioles, and I remembered the place because I was telling Deb, after we're starting, within the first 10 days, we're GPS everything. GPS everything, because we didn't know our way around, we're new. And we come across, which we know now is Cleveland, New 41, Old 41, Cleveland Avenue. That's the hotel we were staying at. It was Travel Lodge, I think it was. And I remember, hey, I told Deb, I go, look, somewhere around here is where I saw that band playing outside, so I want to go in there and talk with them. Well, it was literally just a couple of, maybe a half a block half a block south, and across the street. So I found it, we did our U-turn, got into the place, walked in, and I asked the lady about when she had the band playing. She goes, oh, no, that was just for a special event, for a fundraiser. And I said, well, I'd like to see if I could get a gig in here and that, if you guys do have bands. She said, yeah, we have them once in a while. And then she says, okay, well, I'll tell you what. Now, this was on Monday or Tuesday, maybe even a Wednesday. And she said, I'll tell you what, why don't you come on this Saturday? I think it was on a Saturday she gave me my gig. Literally just a few days. And I said, okay. I said, you sure? Because I'm so used to up north. You go to book, you have to deal with a booking agent. You go to book, and it's a month, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months out, depending on what the schedule is. And so I'm so used to that. I was not used to, bam, right away, next few days you're already playing. That was very, 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 very welcoming, to say the least. So we got the gig. We did the gig, and she gave us a couple of dates. And then I hooked up with Mike, a vocalist, and then we played there. And it wasn't too long after that, I think she was getting ready to sell. But I started making contact with other places. My point is that after that first gig, I think the next one was at a place called Old Soul Brewing. And we set up the gig there. And then the weekend of the gig happened to be that whole week when Hurricane Irma was blowing through. So, everyone was like, oh, we got to get out of here, man. And so we did that. And when we got back, I called and we were able to reschedule the gig like maybe a week later after Hurricane Irma. And so there was still people that were kind of displaced, so that, and the hurricane was not that bad at all, but, the mindset is not really too much for the locals. The locals, they've been through, all their life. Depending on how old they are, they've been through this all their life. But a lot of us newbies, we think hurricane and let's get out of Dodge, So a lot of people left. So we secured the date, the makeup date at Old Soul Brewing. We do our gig. I think maybe there was 3 people there, man, if that, because it was still right after the hurricane. So I was not expecting to get paid, but did the gig, and she paid what she said she was going to pay. Now that was the owner's daughter, Adriana. Real nice gal. No problem. And I was shocked. And I was like, hey, you have to do this. No, we promised you this. We're going to pay you this. It kind of blew my mind. Because you see, some of the rock and metal clubs up north really don't get paid. What you do is they'll have 3 bands playing, and then they charge a cover at the door, and you have to say what band you're there to see, and then that's the money you get for your band. You know, that's how that works. Down here's a little different. So that was another pleasant surprise. And I think after that, when we went to another, when we, I can't remember so much after. Maybe it was after that we did to join the Chamber of Commerce. We were doing so much research and looking around and that, you know. And but anyways, we were doing our you know, after we already did that, so we were like 7 days, because I remember when the gal asked us, so how long you been, when we were signing up for the Chamber of Commerce and becoming members, and they have the meeting and you get your plaque and everything, when the lady asked us, so how long have you been down here? Because we said we relocated down here, we're new down here. How long are you down here? 7 days. She goes, oh yeah, you are new. So, and there was other businesses we were, you know, hobnobbing with, and, you know. So they have a welcome center over in Cape Coral. So we went to the welcome center, and, you know, so we could put up our flyers for our business. And I took all the restaurant flyers, and there was one that we took called Le Corte. And I remember doing the research back up in Illinois during springtime. I saw a video of the chef being interviewed at Le Corte Bistro, and, you know, high-end restaurant, and Sabrina was her and her husband were one of the owners. Let's see, we got here. Oh, there's Mama. In the other room watching the Olympics. Go Cubbies. So we got the brochure from Le Corte, and I was looking them up, and I remembered them, so I'm thinking, well, let me do another rewatch the video on Le Corte Bistro. And yeah, there it is. Okay, so we got the address on their pamphlet, and then GPS that, and Deb and I drove over there, and I brought one of my guitars, my nylon string guitar. Went in there with the guitar in my gig bag, went to talk to her, and, you know, just asked if I could just play something for her real quick. And I did something real like Lyenda or something I did. And she goes like this, hold on. And then she calls her husband, Michael. And I guess they secured it. And then that following Friday, boom, I was there playing. So I could not believe how fast we were gigging down here, man. It was incredible. Maybe it was the right time at you know, at the same time, it was the right time. And these places that I'm playing at were not the places that I was seeing when I was doing the research back up north. So that was interesting. And then I do remember looking at Craigslist and figure, well, if I'm not going to go with a band, let me see if I find a vocalist, you know, because some places they want to have the singer and that. Okay. So I find Mike's ad, contacted him, and he had just got out of his band. I guess he had a little bit of time off where he was in between bands, and, you know. So hooked up with him, and our first gig was at Old Soul Brewing, and it was outside, and I think it's up, yeah, it's up on YouTube on this channel. I forget what it's called, Dave Rock's Old Soul Brewing or something like that, but it was outside. There was a truck trailer that converted into a stage. And I did a couple of songs. I think one of the songs I played was Highway Star. That's when I was throwing my Laguna guitar around. And yeah, they have never seen anything like that for a local. It was totally different. And then Mike came up, and I know we did the song Bad Company, and we did a couple other songs. And yeah, it was great right from there. Then we did another gig at Old Soul Brewing, and that was just before they were getting ready to close. And that, yeah, congratulations. Yeah, it's men's gymnastics. Yeah, no, guys, it's converse. It's okay, no problem. Because this video that I'm shooting here, I was going to stay up because for other people who start to get the idea of relocating, you know, the things that are a good idea to do, so you don't put yourself in a financial situation and watch all your savings get drained, you know. So, yeah, after that, then when I hooked up with Mike, we put a set list together. We were just right into keep going. I had a whole list of places. I was, man, every single day, or virtually every single. If it wasn't every day, it was every other day. Making the phone calls, driving all over the place. We go out there, Deb and I, and we just hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. At the same time of securing a driving job, and I'll talk about that just real briefly in a moment. But all these contacts we started making was like boom, 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 boom. And then one of them was Rusty's in Cape Coral. We started doing Rusty's, then the Blue Monkey in Naples. I know we started hooking up also with these private parties, doing all those, and uh, Chicago Boys was like one of the last gigs we did together, and our schedules was starting to change. Um, I gotta look at back at oh yeah, Amvets 81, and it was this constant, and that's when I started to realize that down here they do a lot of residency gigs, so that's why you've seen this at the same places, because they're gonna have you there all the time. So that's why I told Mike, I said, this is so much different down here than back up in Illinois, and he's originally from Ohio, him and his dad, but he's been down here since the early '80s. And he told me he's seen it change down here. Him and his dad had a marine mechanic shop, so they're always working on the boats, which was real smart. And they always had money. Mike told me he always had money. And you think about it, you would. Everyone's got a boat down here, and you're a mechanic, a boat mechanic. Oh man, you're golden, dude. You're making money. But he did say, and since he's been down here since the '80s, when they went through, when the whole country went through the financial crisis in the mid 2000s, like especially 2008 when everything crashed, he said it hit real hard down here in Florida. Because, see, Florida is a big tourist state. And now, recently, within the last few years, they've been putting in a lot of industries, factories, and things like that. Because they come to the realization they can't just rely on tourists, restaurants, and hotels. Because from 2008, when the market crashed, that took the part of the state down. So they're like, okay, and there's no state income tax down here. So let's kind of rethink everything. And now, just because we're here in Florida doesn't mean all of Florida is like that. In the area that we're at, it's known as Old Florida. Yeah, 7 years today we moved to Florida. Yep. So if you go up to Sarasota, it's a little bit busier, bigger city way. If you go city life, especially up in Tampa, and of course in Miami. That was another thing we did. We did, as our soloist gig, we did a show. I think it was the first year we were down here. Did a wedding gig, quite a few wedding gigs, and we did a show for the St. Petersburg College. That was great. It was a great corporate gig we did there. We did a few private corporate gigs in Miami side, and I could have sworn the street we drove down in Miami, because this was high end. It was a high end gig that they hired us. We went down this one area, and I remember seeing the video. Ingve pulling out of his driveway in his Ferrari. I could be wrong, but I could swore we passed by his house. I ain't gonna say where, because I don't remember. But Deb's got she's got the contract. But I would never. That's without people's permission, I ain't saying nothing. But my point is that I could swore. So it was pretty rapid that the gigs were coming our way, man. It was like I couldn't believe how fast. Of course, being proactive, that's what you got to be. You can't, when you're gonna relocate somewhere, you don't want to ho hum along, because the more you wait, someone else is in line right behind you looking to get that same gig. So don't. The supply and demand is more supply than there's demand. And it's a good idea to think that way. Don't think that way in a bad attitude way. Think that way in a positive attitude, because that's going to motivate you. And it's good. You'll learn your selling skills real quick, man. Real quick. Booking agents let's see. Oh yeah, booking agents get a cut. Oh yeah. Yeah, they get a cut. They always get a cut. It used to be 10, 15%. Now I think it's more in the 15 to 20%, maybe even more, because we don't have to deal with. Let's see, 2 gigs this week and Friday. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Deb. And then we got another gig we picked up just recently at a place called Torch. It's gonna be Sunday, August 25th. You know, so um, so yeah, when you're gonna do something like this, it's a good idea to do as much research before you relocate. And keep in mind that between the time you do the research and the time you actually land, things could alter. Things really could alter. And this is why it is really good idea if you have other skills or if you have a business to kind of get that secured as well, so that you have money coming in. So you're not living off your savings and draining your savings, man. That's horrible. You know, when you start to drain the savings that's in your business account, and when you have to borrow from your personal account to help save the business account, yeah, that could be very stressful. And to avoid the stress, um, see, with the CDL license, you know, and the jobs that we got, it works perfect for our schedule. Perfect. And we got great health benefits, great insurance, a pension. So it's kind of like set. So it's kind of like we're weekend warriors with our business, but I'm all right with that because I do like my driving gig. So yeah, that's another thing. If you can find something that you also like and secure that, so that when you got your finances coming in, your cost of living is being taken care of. Now you could really focus on this, not only as fun, but on what you really want to do with this. And this will be another video I'll do on the realities of gigging and how to kind of brand yourself from the perspective that I see as the player. I'm not gonna say it from the business point. Deb knows about that. I'll say it from the player's point of view. But one thing I will say that really could hurt you is if you're trying to push this so hard it's full time, and man, you're just draining money from your savings account, and then bills are piling up, then you become desperate, and sometimes it could sound desperate, could sound kind of like combative when you sell your product. Man, it's very tough. It's very, very tough, and those people don't want to deal with that. I'll get into that on another video. So we secured that, and we were still being able to gig. And we had our residency gigs, and then we've lost residency gigs. But we're able to constantly bounce back up because we've been playing so many of these places now that we've built a good reputation working with club owners. And it's kind of interesting because they know I don't sing. They know I do some covers. I do my originals. So I'm kind of the oddball from the norm, but I'm the oddball in a good way because it's different for the people. It's enjoyable for the people. And again, not everyone's gonna like what I do, and I don't take that personal. They're more than welcome to have their opinion. Absolutely. Those are people that I could sit down and talk to, and they'll still be my friend. They just don't like what I do, but they're still my friend, and I'm okay with that. Because I want them to be, I want them to be honest. I don't want to jam stuff down people's throats. But the club owners, they see that in Deb and I, and of course they do a lot of talking with Deb, and they see that she's got it together, 100% got it together, and right away we understand their perspective because we're business. Not only we're business owners with the music business company we have, but because of the construction companies we had and the experience of having employees. So we see that other end of the spectrum there, and that helps. That really does help. And we don't bash anybody. We don't get online and bash and trash. And that again, that could ruin you. You'll close your doors real fast. But when you start making that reputation of getting around, yeah, he played here, he's done good here, he's a good fit in here, he's easy to work with, the doors, they blow open for you. Let's see, I thought I saw a comment. Okay. Uh, yeah, has a channel on YouTube and is hooked up with, yeah, let's see, with a company called, yeah, yeah. And we would, now if he's traveling with his man, I'll check out that channel. Let me make sure I write that down. Yeah, Tim Avon. Or Avon, A-V-E-N. I'm just gonna write that down, man. It's a good, it's good to have. It really is. We were doing a lot of traveling before we got down here, man. Oh my God. We'll do a video on that. See, I have to write it down because when I stop the live stream, I go to rewatch it. The comments are not up like YouTube used to have, for whatever reason, whatever the reason. So, yeah, when we got down here, we did one outdoor gig. I mean, one out of state gig after we were down here, and that was a few years ago. Did a gig up in Atlanta, or north of Atlanta, and visiting with friends. But yeah, be careful when you drive through Atlanta. Actually, be careful when you drive through anywhere. So let me kind of backtrack a little bit here. The reason why it took us 3 days to come down here, again, we have the CDL license. We had I think it was a 14-foot U-Haul, and we had a hitch to tow our car. And on the hitch, right there on both sides of where the wheel well is, it says maximum. I can't remember what it said. Was it maximum 50 miles an hour, 55, something like that? But we made sure we did not exceed that speed limit because it still had Illinois plates on the trailer, on the truck, because that's where we were renting it from, and on our car. So everyone knew as soon as we left Illinois, every state knew we're out of state. And the state trooper likes that, they watch that. So be careful, and protect. If you have a CDL license, your ticket's more than a regular license. Don't don't mess it up, man. Do the best you can not to mess it up. Trust me. We haven't had that situation, but I've known people that has, and it's a lot to go through because there's a point system. And again, if you have a good driving job and you like that job and you're going to make money, you're going to make money more than that than with this. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm not saying that you cannot make a lot of money because we have, but it fluctuates so much. And the clubs, not so much, but the private gigs, the corporate gigs, that's where you're going to make your money at. But they're not every week. So you have to take that in consideration. So, I mean, everyone's financial situation is different. So basically, look at what your situation is financially and your health wise too. Sometimes it's not easy to do 100 gig 7 days a week, and down here in the heat, man, it could be hard. You burn out, you get sick. Don't do that to yourself. But just look at what your personal situation is, and then you'll be able to make those adjustments, and you'll do fine. You absolutely do fine. So yeah, we secured the driving gig, and we've done like parallel, driving gig and gigging, and man, it was like the first year, 150 gigs. People they couldn't believe it. They're like, man, how you get to work so fast? Because we're from a different state, being from a big city and moving to a small area. See, down here in the Fort Myers area, it is like what they call Old Fort Myers. So again, it's not like Sarasota or Tampa or Miami. So the pace is a little bit slower, which actually is nice because you can catch your second wind. You can kind of enjoy life. That's kind of the catch-22 with it. But anyways, I would have people tell me, not only do you move fast, you're going too fast, you even talk fast, and it was just a habit of my whole life, being in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area. That's that's you're a product of your environment. It takes time to wind down. So we definitely secured the gigs, and it's been rolling on a positive ever since. Now there are certain things that are not too cool. You know, you get the people that will lie to you, but you could get that anywhere, my friends. They want to reel you in. You know, they'll tell you anything just to reel you in, and then next thing you know, you find out it's not really true, and then it's like, okay, I'm out of here. You know, but again, for the most part, it's a lot of good people we ran down here, man. Now, you know, with the hurricanes and everything, there's a lot has changed in the 7 years. So now we could say that we've seen things. So for people who are relocating down here, um, I think, and especially on this side of the Tampa area, because the next hurricane after Ian, that hurricane went up by the Sarasota area and Tampa. So I don't know exactly how much damage. I mean, it did a lot of damage, but when you have these natural disasters, here is the situation we're in down here in Florida. When they wipe out these places, I mean, some of these places they don't have enough money to rebuild, so you lost that place to play at, and you lost income. So you have to keep those things in mind. You really do. If there's not many people doing recording sessions. I mean, when I first got down here, I ran into some people, but it was mostly the gigging because see, with again it being a tourist state, and we have the in season and the snowbirds when they come down here, everything is like hopping, man. And our in season is like actually the heart of the in season is after Thanksgiving or just before Thanksgiving through April. You know, it really gets packed down here, or it has. A lot of people now have relocated because on my driving job just last year, I was seeing less and less out of state plates, but more and more cars. So what that tells me that these people have relocated down here, and then you have what's the part time. We're down here full time, but you have the part time residents down here. So what they'll do is, they'll have their cars, down here, and they'll secure their license down here. They'll change it from their out of state to the Florida license, and then when it's too hot, not a season, then they go back up north, and then they have their other residency up there, residence up there. So they'll do that. So that kind of explains why I've seen more and more in-state license plates than out of state because they're finally relocating. And again, it could be just part time. So these are the things you have to really watch for when you relocate. Do as much research as you can, and visit if you can, and talk with people. Talk with business, restaurant owners, club owners, or the management. It is a good idea if you can talk with the owner, because see, sometimes management will come and go, but the owner is going to be there for as long as he or she decides to keep the place. And ask other musicians if you can. And you could always get the I don't want to say mixed information, but mixed opinions, because some musicians they get a little bit disappointed that they're not doing as many gigs and that they were, and then they don't really want newcomers. There's some that don't want newcomers, because think about it, you're just like I was a newcomer 7 years ago, man. I'm taking someone else's gig away. When I started getting these gigs, it shifted. It shifted, especially with the residency gigs. When you're doing the gigs, on a rotation, then you're just on a rotation, and everyone gets a turn to play there. But if you're doing a residency gig, that's where you could be knocking somebody out of the box there, and that makes it tough. It happens with me as well. Someone knocks me out, and then they got that position. So it's the nature of the beast. Just get used to it. That's why it's good to secure your finances. Look where you are financially. If you're retired and you still don't want to burn through your retirement savings, if you have other talents to do with it, also capitalize on that. I know down here there's a lot of art shows, fine art shows, and that's something we've been getting back into too as well. and we have strategy with that. We'll disclose that at a later time, but there's strategy in that on how you could brand yourself with something very specific. Again, we'll talk about that probably in the next video because I do want to keep things. Because I reviewed the last video I did with the realities of a gig, and I want to remember what was the topic I said I was going to talk about at the next one. Besides with the 7-year relocation, not the 7-year itch, 7-year relocation, and that next one will be like branding yourself. So, but yeah, it's a good idea. And if you have, if you have those skills, if you have those talents, look there as well. If you draw or paint and that, look at all your options. You'd be surprised. And if still you feel like, okay, I talked with this person that has a booth that sells their art. They're not doing too good now, and it's been a little bit slow. Okay, take those notes down. I also play music. I want to see what's going on here. Okay, it's a little bit slow here. Watch the slow season, and then you're gonna get some of the musicians that are just gonna be trashing and bashing. Just let them vent, let them talk, because they're giving you information. Watch what you agree to, though. Watch what you agree to, because I'm gonna tell you right now, some of those people that think you're out to get their gig, and you agree to this, that, and the other, and my name is this so and so, and this name of my band or whatever, blah blah blah, yeah. Then they could go tell the club owner, watch this guy because he's already trashing and bashing, and they're already gonna give you a bad name before you could even sell yourself. Don't think that doesn't happen. So it's easy to agree, and even Deb, she tells me, watch what you say, and she's right. Let them talk. Yeah, she's right, because it could be a trap. Or sometimes people are just, emotional, and they're just venting. I get it. It happens, man. That happens because of loss of money. Whenever there's a complaint, and it looks like it's doom and gloom, the end is here, like the Glum and Gulliver's Travels will never make it, you could tie it right into there's something going on financially, and more money is being spent than coming in. We're losing more money. Panic. Hit the red panic button. Again, I don't like to say things bad or negative, and that's not what it is, but it's a good idea to look at all your options, your other talents, your other skills. Secure all that, because when your cost of living is taken care of, then you don't have to hit the panic button, and now you're back on track, and in your whole demeanor, it becomes more pleasant to work with. Because that's another thing what people want to. They want to deal with people that are positive. They already got enough. And you'll run into those that are, look like they don't want to give you the time of day. They're out there. But what I do is I try to take everything in stride, and I don't say anything about any of that, and I try to take their point of view in consideration. And then if it's something like, this guy or this GM or this girl or GM, whatever, and they give me the impression that they're full of crap. They don't know what they want. They want to lowball me, they want to lie to me, they want to this, that, and the other. So I'll just stay away from that place. You got to always remember, they are a business that needs money, just like you're a business that needs money. And when musicians say, I want to be a full-time musician, you're putting yourself in the role of business. Whether you are LLC, sole proprietor, incorporated, whatever, you got to start thinking like that. And you got to understand the whole thing. You got to understand their point of view. And when you go on the trashing and bashing, they're going to remember that. And especially if you put stuff on social media. I know I say that a lot, but I try to emphasize that because I've seen it. And it's just too bad. So when you avoid all that, when you got other sources of income coming in, now you don't have to worry about, what a person is saying and how they're treating you. Because like I said, you got to remember, they're a business and they need money too. So if they're treating you that bad, pull yourself away. That means when you're going to have friends over, you want to go somewhere to eat, you ain't going to that place. I lost business. Oh, that's okay. We'll survive. I hope you can, because trust me, every single dollar that they could get, they'd like to. Just like us. We'd like to make as much money as possible, right? So, but yeah, you'll find out when you do your research and you're in an area that you're happy to go to. It's a great experience, man. It's like a summer vacation from school that never ends. Remember when you're kids, you're on summer break, and just that feeling right there, man. It's great. It is just, and it lasts. It lasts depending on your outlook. You're gonna have the bad days, but let's get rid of those bad days. Let's look at the positive days, and trust me, it's gonna be like a never-ending summer break. And when you look at life through those lenses, your whole demeanor is different. It's positive, and people they want to work with you, man. You know. What you can do too is look for the music stores. That's another thing we did. Gotta look for the music stores. Because think about it. You want to buy gear. As guitar players, man, man. You know, it's like we could never have enough. But then when we have it, they're like, okay, do I really want it? I mean, it's kind of like that catch-22. I'm very appreciative of what we have. What I was playing is the ME90, and this thing, I like this. I like this thing a lot. I like the the foot switching system. That thing's great, man. Like the ME80, it's the way they're set up. It works perfect. Um, there's some really good amp sims and cab sims in the ME90. Maybe not as good as some of the other products that are out there, but I can EQ things where I can get exactly dangerously close and like, okay, I like this tone, I like that tone. It's a win-win for me. What I noticed with some of those other products, if they sound really great for metal, when I do anything that's fusion bass or jazz bass, when I need over, it doesn't really sound too good. Very few of them have that right in between. They could take care of both worlds. And the Boss is, to me, I know when it's the 179, this will say like British stack. It's supposed to be like a Marshall. It's not really too Marshally. This one, but their version called Juggernaut or X modded. That's the thing with this is X modded seems to work better. And a lot of what we had back in the 80s was a lot of people using Boss pedals. So it's like you're going to get as close to that sound because it's Boss. What I do like and respect about Boss, I think what their niche is that, taking consideration with the Boss Katana amps, they're not trying to be Marshall or this and they'll get close to a sound implying that, but I think what they're doing is they're trying to niche themselves as another standard in the industry. Here's our sound, here's our tone. And like what Peavey did with their tone, because I remember, we go to Chicago Music Company back in the day, and you find the Fender amps, Marshall amps, Lab Series amps. Barkus Berry had a company, Barkus Berry, that made pickups. They had an amplifier, crate, and then yeah, that was about it. If you saw Mesa Boogie was used, then when Guitar Center opened up back in 1980, they had a lot of stuff, but it wasn't like it is today. I think what we're seeing is mods of other amps packaged differently, and don't get me wrong, like the Friedman amps and the Rev amps, and these are companies that took those ideas and expanded on it, and did improvements and put their own personality into it. So, if I were to buy a Friedman amp and put it next to a Marshall, or a Soldano amp put next to a Marshall, there's definitely gonna be differences. It's that idea of the Marshall JCM 800 zooped up, and then it gives birth to another tone, another sound. So likewise with the amp models, and that's what I mean with Boss. I think their niche is they want to really position themselves as, well, we're Boss. This is our sound. So hopefully, as time goes on, we're going to continue to have our sound. So when someone says, "Yeah, but they sound weak," like trying to duplicate a Marshall, weak trying to duplicate a rectifier, but there's a certain tone that's Boss that sounds, "Hey man, this is pretty awesome." There you go. And their price point is great. And I know Laney just came out with an amp that's going to be a competitor. That's an all analog circuit to the Boss Katana because the price point that's at it's at a different you know different customer base. They're targeting a different customer. However, however, a lot of professionals will use some of this stuff because of its reliability and it being inexpensive and easy access to grab. That's one thing that I had said before. Since now, I guess Digitech is coming back because they released the Jamman Solo HD. It's in stereo and takes the micro SD card and that. So it sounds like Digitech is going to be, coming back, which is great. They're a great brand. I mean, I love the Digitech stuff, man. But it really made me realize when Harman International dropped them. It made me realize how fast a company could be, man, like gone. And when you're relying on that company and their products, and all of a sudden they're gone, now it's like, okay, so I mean, I'm not saying that couldn't happen with it could happen with Helix, Yamaha, but Yamaha's a strong company. It could happen with Roland Boss, but they're a strong company. But I think they position themselves in such a way that they've never gone away, especially Boss. They've never gone away. And you could go virtually in any music store around the world and find a Boss product. So I think even Dave Simpson, he made that comment too. I'm glad he did because he's the only other person that I've known that made to make that comment to realize that, hey man, we're out here gigging. If something happens, I know I could go down the street to virtually any music store and grab a replace my Boss pedal. So something to consider there, with product pedals, with product brands. Um, but getting back to when you relocate, it's exciting. It really is exciting, and do the things you need to do to secure your income. Don't worry about other people if they're gonna mock you, whatever. Don't even worry about that because you know what your situation is, and trust me, once you do that, man, it's like I said, gonna be like a never-ending summer break because you're gonna really enjoy what you're doing, and no stress. It'll show when you're playing. It'll definitely show when you're playing, man. So congratulations to those who are recording. I know Bad Brad I think he's finally up in Tampa. He keeps going back and forth between Daytona because that's where he had to go to first, and I guess last 2 days he had to go back to Daytona, pick up the rest of his guitar, his music gear, his amps, and that, and then head up to Tampa, in the Tampa area. We'll make our way up there, just like with our friend Jason Stallworth that's up in Tampa, Bradenton area. Hook up and do some jamming. Probably next summer, maybe if we get some time, And same with Mike Lipinski, that'd be great, I know we're still scheduled to go to St. Augustine. Now this in the winter break. We'll have 2 weeks off, and this is going to be primarily to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. And I've done a couple of research up in the St. Augustine area, which is really cool because it's like the oldest town in the state of Florida, I believe. It's got a lot of Spanish from Spain, Spaniard uh, influence. Because they got the fort, the St. Augustine fort that's there. So it's very, very interesting. Another thing to do when you relocate, look at the style of music that interests you. That's before I close off for this live stream. It's kind of important, and then see what's popular and see what maybe you could tolerate. They think, okay, I think I could work with that. If it's something that's like, man, I don't know, it could be hard. I'm not saying not to try it, but you might fall in this category of, okay, I'm gonna try it, but then 6 months to a year, you get the burnout from playing that kind of music, and like, man, I can't do this anymore. And you have to look at that. You really do, because honestly, when I see people that, I'm not saying them they have a bad day, but when they look like they don't even like what they're doing, uh, it's kind of hard to get into it because they look like they don't. It's different if they're saying, "Man, I'm just not feeling too good and having a bad day." That's one thing, but when they're setting up and they say under their breath, "I can't wait for this gig to be over," man, that says it all right there. So, you know, you might have to drive a little further than what you would expect to play the kind of music that is what you play and what you're interested in. But in my opinion, I think if you fall into that category, it's worth it because you get the chance to do what you really love, and it's gonna really just pour right out of your soul, man. The people that like that kind of music, they're gonna make contact with what you're doing right away, and that's one way how you can start to build your reputation. Um, but if you do love covers, then absolutely go for it, man, because that will show in your playing, and people who love the covers, boom, you know, everything. There's something for everybody. Not one is better than the other. So it's just what's gonna work for you. But yeah, before you relocate, that's one of the things you should do with your R&D, your research and development plan, your strategy, is check everything out. Um, if we can, find out how long they have people play. There are certain areas I do a lot of 3 hour sets. There's some places where I have you do 4 hours. So what you could do, it's not a bad idea to prepare for 4 hours. It really isn't, because you'll have that much extra material. And then before you relocate, practice it. Or if you already relocate, secure yourself with whatever you need to do financially, and then practice to do that 4 hour session. You don't have to do it straight through like what I do, but just practice it and just see how you feel. It's not a bad idea. You don't have to do this, but it's not a bad idea to do this in the summertime if you're up north, so you get used to the heat. Or if you're down here in your lanai, do that outside. You don't have to do it loud. You don't have to, unless you want to build up an audience. That's fine. But just so you could get prepared for what you will be going through, because there is a lot of outdoor gigs down here. And right now, it stopped raining. I thought my whole live stream was gonna go because it was storming pretty bad. But when we're in our rainy season, and now we're approaching our hurricane season, so get your mind prepared for that as well. Um, don't panic because you hear hurricane season, but just be smart about it. And you know what? A lot of people on our local news down here, they'll even tell you you don't necessarily have to travel outside of the state of Florida. You could travel inward, away from the storm, because what happens with these hurricanes, once they hit landfall, the land naturally starts to slow them down. So, that's another thing to take in consideration. Uh, I don't know if Bad Brad has bought a house or if they're renting. It's a good idea if you're renting, because if something does happen, you know, I know it's tough, but then you're not stuck with a house that you either got to try to sell, try to fix up and sell, or pay to get tore down. I think if it's a situation, I'm pretty sure if this is a situation like when Ian hit and some of these homes in here got destroyed, usually um, it's like you have to pay for the demolition, the demolition derby to come down and tear your house down. I think that's something like between $10,000 and $15,000, something in that ballpark. So kind of prepare for that. But because of hurricane, I think our governor was saying, "Hey, look, man, you can't be pushing this on people. It's not their fault that this happened. So, let's kind of prepare for that. So, that's the catch 22 is down here. Is I know we got this guitar recent, and this thing is great, but we bought this literally from the money from one gig, and we had money left over. So that kind of tells you where that our gig money was, how much we were making. That you can make some decent money, but a lot of that we put in our both our bank account, our business account. So we make sure that nothing is going to be in the red. Because if it had been a situation where our business account is in the red, because this is a business expense, well, man, sorry, it's got a standing wall clearance, nice, great deal, but I can't do it, And which I've said this before, and more I'm coming to this place where I'm like, I got what I want, I got the things I like. Maybe it's not the Helix, or maybe it's not the Headrush app, but I like what I get out of here, because I also like having money in the bank, because I know from that especially that last hurricane that hit us, anything could happen, man. Anything can happen, and I would not want us to be in a situation. And I'll tell you what, I'm very blessed and fortunate having Deb as my wife, because she is very smart with money. She is, man, wow. She knows her stuff, man, and she could forecast things out. She's very good at that, forecasting things out, and that's what you got to get used to, forecast things out so you don't put yourself in a situation. And again, it's not a negative doom and gloom topic. It's just a preparedness topic. That's what that is. And the more that you're able to prepare yourself, now when you continue on with what you're doing, you're gonna feel a little better. You're not gonna have this weighing on your mind so much. To the point like, oh man, I can't deal with that. So that's basically it, my friends. The most important thing is research, secure some sort of income, secure those gigs, call these places up, talk with the musicians, find out exactly what's popular, find out what your liking is, and seek that out. Instrument. I will again. On this, probably if I could do Wednesday live, maybe I'll do this on Wednesday, because I got a charter tomorrow and I got a charter on Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday, with the realities of gigging. I'll touch on the topic of branding yourself from the musician's point of view, because there's something going to be very, very special there, and you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. But before I do, let me see what I can do something here with this. Thank you so much, my friends, for tuning in. Until Wednesday, you stay strong, safe, and true. Rock on, and God bless. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.